Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry. We were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right. ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
You are listening to the Welsh Regional Rugby Podcast. We haven't quite worked out what the A in RAP stands for yet, but bear with us. This is the best place for fans in Wales to get involved and have your say about what matters to you around your regional team. Then again, I would say that because I'm a presenter. So anyway, here we go. Welcome to the show. Coming up on this week's show, we talk Dragons v Edinburgh and the second half meltdown that led to Dean Ryan's comments after the game and what needs to change before the Munster this weekend. We talk Cardiff and what's changed since the end of last season, and we look at the Scarlets Ospreys game and all the important talking points from rugby this week. Plus there's a whole load of other stuff, so let's get on with it, shall we? Okay, so you join us here again. Welcome everybody to the RAP podcast. So with myself, my name's Lee Griff. I've given myself a funky name. I've changed it to Lee Griff because apparently Lee was boring. So it's Lee Griff because that's kind of funky. Yeah. There's no need to look at me like that, boys, honest.
I think you need to restart that again, mate. Honest to Christ.
So joining me this week, as always, I've got Carwin, or Carwin, because that's your funky name. I thought about it.
Okay, thanks for that.
And Reese, mate, I haven't thought of a funky name for you yet, but I will. I'll come up with a funky name. So
I think the fact that we're using the term funky names gives everybody an idea of the age range of the group, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. So Reese has joined us to cover the Cardiff corner. So how accurate do we think our predictions were last week, guys? Before we crack on with everything else, how accurate do we think our predictions were from last week's games? Would you like to hear your predictions from last week's games, boys?
Go for it. I think I was close.
Wrong, you. Couple wrong. We'll see though.
Let's. So at this point, we should be listening to a recording of Reese telling us how positive he was for the season and how excited he was for Cardiff putting out a new amazing back row, and then still predicting that Cardiff would lose by 10 points in traditional Cardiff fashion. But for some reason, when we upload that to the podcast, it crashes the whole lot. So just take it from me that that's what Reese said. And hopefully we'll have this bit sorted by next week. So, Reese, welcome to the show. Yeah.
Straight off the bat, showing my expertise.
Seeing as you're here to put the Cardiff point forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
We will discuss the Cardiff game in a minute, but I think the overview of the weekend, I actually thought first weekend of the URC, I thought it was quite good. I thought there were some really good games. Starting on Friday night, I watched the Leinster Zebra game, and I just thought, hang on, if this is how the season's going, this is going to be a good season, And then it's then I went to the Scarlets game on Saturday, and oh my Lord. Talk about it was as a game. If you were watching that as a fan, I can imagine that being like a neutral. That would be a great game to watch because it was ding dong, left, right, and all of that. As a supporter, good Lord, it was heartbreaking. I was checking the clock with 15 minutes to go. I was looking at the clock and going, I wonder if we can run that down. I didn't realise until I saw it on Scrum 5 that actually it was like 3 or 4 minutes gone past the 80. Yeah. When we called back, I was so happy. Yeah, bastards. Do you know what made it worse for me? Was 2 rows in front of me was you could tell he was an Osprey as he walked up the steps. Yeah, so I sat right at the very back of the stadium. He was in black, was he? No. Yeah. We'll start at the top and I'll work the way down. He had a top knot to start with, a big bushy beard. Are you sure he wasn't from Carmarthen? No, he had a puffer jacket, shorts, and fucking flip-flops. Yeah. And I'm like, I didn't even need to wait for the game. I'm going, he's an Osprey. You can just fucking tell that guy there is an Osprey. And I was right. And he was a chopsy one as well. So... good on him. Good on him. So but it was good. It was good. So So before we do important stuff like rugby, what's your drink of the week? So, Reese, I'll forgive you this week, Reese, because you haven't, you're not up to speed with this sort of stuff. Carwyn, what are you drinking, Car? My drink of the week's empty. It was red wine. But I'm on days early tomorrow morning, so it'll just be the one for me. Any particular vintage, Carl? That's something from the Spa Pinot Noir. There you go. Was it the cheapest one in the shop? No, it's most expensive. Although it'd be really cheap if I was still living in Ireland. Yeah. They know how to put a price on alcohol over there. Fair play. And well, I'll be fair. The last time I was drinking beer in Ireland, somebody else was paying for it, so I didn't care how much beer was. So I couldn't give a monkey's how much beer was in Ireland. Oh well, last time I was in Dublin, it was hellishly expensive. Well, honestly, it's like $6.50 a pint in my local. It brings a tear to the eye, to be honest. It's like again like that in Cardiff, isn't it? Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. But moving on to a bit of the rugby, boys. Hang on, because I'm drinking. What are you doing? I'm drinking a thing called Gower Gold, which is from Swansea. This is from the Gower Brewery. I thought that might give it away, to be honest, being the Gower. But no, it's quite nice. I haven't had it before. It's quite nice. Oh, yeah. But again, not the most expensive thing in the shop. Okay. Well, like I say, Lee, moving on to the rugby. Okay. Let's discuss. Let's do the easy game first. Oh, see, no, Reese has gone and got a beer. Run and got a Budweiser because I felt bad. You just didn't want to feel left out. Just for you, boys. Good man. So I tell you what, let's start with Dragons and Edinburgh. Let's start with the easy one. You want to go with Dragons? Let's do that one. Well, I saw the first few minutes where the Dragons were winning. And then I had to turn it off for reasons unbeknown to myself, only to my wife. But obviously they got a good hump in. But from what you were telling me, they it was just the penalties. They were playing quite well. Well, they were in that game up to 35 minutes. Up to 35, I think the score on 35 minutes was 12-6 or something like that. And defence-wise, Ross Moriarty was like a wall. He was like a brick fucking wall. I think he got through like 23, 24 tackles, something like that. And,
quality, isn't he? The absolute beast of a man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And, for then Dean Ryan later to come out and say, who was, he's one player out of 15. But, when he's talking about, do you care and how you're putting in a performance, Ross Moriarty was absolutely rock solid. And I'll be honest, even when they were going in at half time, you had that feeling that, if they could sneak a score at the start of the second half, that was going to be a tight game. And, there's a reason why Edinburgh don't lose at home. And then I think Dragons just made it so easy for them. I think they gave away 21 penalties.
But also, like, from the highlights from what I saw, some of the Edinburgh tries were absolute beauties. And I think there's a lot of teams who would have struggled against them that night.
Yeah.
There were some absolute corking tries there.
Yeah. And you could just see that the Dragons were missing some leadership on the pitch. That, when you start going a couple of tries behind, somebody gets hold of it and say, right, get hold of the ball, take it into a ruck, and do 5 or 6 really close rucks. Let's just hold the ball. Do you know what I mean? Let's not fart about with it. Let's just slow it down, stop the momentum, keep it tight, and then boot it as far as we can, and just put some pressure on them. Just stop that momentum, break something there. And I think the further behind they got, the more desperate they looked. So, and they were missing a level of leadership. But what did you make of Dean Ryan's comments after the game?
Well, look, I think he has to be tough at the end of the day. First game of the season, they get smashed. And there might have been some individuals who played well, but at the end of the day, they're a team. They work hard, they play hard, and they get treated as such in the aftermath. They get the bollocking as a team, no matter how good 1 or 2 players played.
Yeah.
Well, that's how it works. They played
44 as well, with 44 points. That's the team's got to take that. They've got to take a spanking for that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
Is he right to come out and say that, publicly, we've got some good talent in this side and I'm not seeing it on the park? He's basically saying, you boys are being lazy. Do you know what I mean? He's having a go with his players publicly. Now, I would expect him to walk into the Monday meeting and go, sit down and listen, because shit, we ain't doing that again. But you do that behind closed doors. You don't.
Well, look, he's a good coach, and hopefully the players will see that interview and realise that he's the boss. What he says goes, and that'll send the rocket their way that they need for the next game, because it's not getting any easier. They've got a Munster team now with all the stars back.
Well,
do you think he's a good team coach? Do you think he's because remember, Cardiff had Mulverhill a couple of seasons ago, and there was a number of Cardiff individual players that as supporters we used to watch and go, oh, good grief, here they come. Scott Andrews or Nipper fullback, Matthew Morgan, and then he comes in, and suddenly Scott Andrews is a transformed man. He's scrummaging well, and he's still good around the park, and that's always been his strength. And then suddenly, Matthew Morgan's good under the high ball. And putting in tackles as well against bigger opposition, where he used to just push away, sort of thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
But as a team, Mulverhill couldn't bring all those strands together. He brought some good people in, was a number 8, big number 8.
James Ratty.
No, a couple of seasons ago, Williams.
Nick Williams, yeah.
Is the Dragons coach one of those sort of coaches, sort of thing? Because a load of those players he brought through, Basham, isn't he? And all this young talent, but season upon season, they've never been able to sort of cobble together half a season, really.
That's it. I mean, does he have the changing room? That's the main thing,
Yeah.
So I don't know, but again, there's only one way for the Dragons to go. They can't go any lower,
So the shock of talking about Dragons for that long has affected Carwyn to the point where he's actually got to go and have a fag just to recover from the shock of it. So, so this weekend, it's Sunday game, isn't it? Dragons must. I think it's on telly. Yeah, it's on S4C on Sunday, isn't it? I think.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, what do you reckon from that Dean Ryan kind of conversation at the end of the game? See, it's going to go one of two ways, isn't it? They're either going to come out all singing, all dancing, and Ross Moriarty is going to put someone in hospital, or they're going to come out, stick two fingers up, and go, "You don't talk to us like that, fella." Which way do you reckon it's going to go?
It's difficult to see, isn't it? They got a pack, like when you said, like, it's not just him, is it? Like when you got Basham on, they got a really good back row and a couple of other boys, haven't they, at the Dragons? Yeah. They've got a decent front five, like the one that can get about the pack and stuff like that. I'm scared to see what like Munster will do now as well after losing to us, sort of thing. And they no matter how much the side is weakened, I think there's going to be a bit of a bounce, so they've got to put up with that as well. Don't like to stiff my neck out.
But I think the key bit there is Munster are, they're a side in transition as well. Yep. They're almost in that bit where if you lose the first two games of the season, people start to panic, don't they? Or if you just don't put a decent performance in those first two games, people start asking questions straight away, and they're going, Graham Roundtree is meant to do this great big Munster reset and bring it back to the old way, and produce a strong eight that will take people apart and that takes time. That takes time to do. Whether or not he's going to be able to kind of do anything in the time that he's got, do you know what I mean? It's going to be a tough game for both sides, because they're both in that kind of desperate state to kind of produce a victory. But
if we talk about desperation, I guess the Dragons will be more desperate, isn't it? Because even though Munster lost to us, they were still in the game. They still put themselves in positions, didn't they? Like, that Cardiff had to deal with and could have, won the game. Like some people were saying that Cardiff should have won by more, and Cardiff made lots of mistakes, which allowed them back in, but they were still putting themselves in positions to win the game, which I guess that the 44-6 scoreline sort of doesn't say that the Dragons were putting themselves in any sort of position that past that 35 minutes in which to do any damage, I guess, isn't it? But they have got some players to do damage. You mentioned Moriarty and we mentioned Basham, isn't it? But I think they got some boys throughout the side, haven't they? That they can.
They got Will Rowlands, they got Hanrahan,
yes.
Tompkinson, Dixon in the centre, beast of a lad, like.
Yeah, and
is Tompkinson back at the Dragons?
Sorry,
is Tompkinson back at the Dragons?
CO Tompkinson.
Yeah. How strong is that Budweiser, mate?
Well, I thought you said Tompkinson. I know.
I thought he did as well. Yeah, I'll be honest. But that's it. They on paper, they've got enough players, enough decent players, where they should have won that game. They should have competed longer against Edinburgh. They should be in a position where it should be quite confident going into Munster, and they're not. When you listen to the way Munster are talking at the minute, it's all about, let's dampen down the ambition for this season. Let's talk about transition. Let's talk about blooding new players. Let's talk about, they're almost making excuses before they get on the pitch, expecting to not play well. And, if you're the Dragons, you're going like, well, that's a game you've got to focus on because they're vulnerable. Do you know what I mean? They've got to.
Well, I'd say Munster are never vulnerable, to be honest. I mean, they are heartland Irish rugby. You know,
yeah. And as well, they yeah, I agree. Sorry, I overtalked you then. The production line of players that the Munster and Leinster have, the system they have behind supporting that, the development system and infrastructure they have in developing young players. So by the time they come into the Munster setup and stuff like that, they're far further along their along the line in their sort of player development and person development than the Welsh boys coming into the regions.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It all starts in their academies, in the schools. And that is the aim. If you play school rugby in Munster, your ambition is to play for Munster. That's it. Good luck. And you're on it. And they're driven that way and they're guided that way. And if they're good enough, you know, they get there in the end. And you know what? There's some boys there coming through. And they say, well, it's the same with all the Irish regions, you know.
Well, our under-18s regional stuff starts in December, so we'll when we get to that stage in December, starts a week before Christmas. We'll what a crap time to start an under-18s league, just the week before Christmas. But when we do, we'll be able to have a look at all of our academy boys and things like that.
Oh, I'll just point out there, Lee, because obviously I don't think Reese knows either, but Reese, Lee's boy there, he plays in the Scarlets Academy there. He's in the under 18s or under 17s?
So he's under 18s for RAG, but for national level, because they all play by the Irish under 18s rules. So he's like the year, because he's the year before. Wow. So yeah, it's weird. We'll talk about that later in the season. Yeah. But so, what are we saying for Dragons Munster? Are we all saying a Munster win?
Yeah, I'm going to say it. I was wrong before, but I'm going to say it again.
Oh, do you know what?
Yeah,
I don't know. Do you know what? After last week, the rocket those Dragons traveling this week, I'm going to say Munster by 5.
I'm going to say it's a draw.
Just draw? Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go for 20-all draw, just because it couldn't possibly happen. 2 weeks on the trot, it couldn't be.
Oh, hang on now. Where is it? Where's it being played? In Newport? Or?
Yeah, it's in Newport. Yeah.
All right, Munster by 10.
So, sticking with Munster then, they played Cardiff in Cardiff. So were both of you there? Did both of you go and watch?
No, I didn't get to watch. I was because sorry, Kat, when you
go ahead.
I recent birthday and I had a season ticket for my birthday, and I was going on the Friday. My daughter had a ticket to of all things, at Comic-Con on the Saturday, which I promised to take her to. Charlie Boy came to town, sort of thing, moved my game. So I missed the game, sort of thing. So so I've seen the majority of it, but do you mean?
Well, you saw the other heroes instead, you know?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. so not a real supporter, yeah.
Well, I tell you what,
I've seen the game.
It was a great crowd there. It was a great setup from the start, things the kids to do and everything. And Cardiff, watch them in the warm-up. They look confident, happy bunch of boys. Shame about Liam Williams in that 20 minutes. I mean, that is a real shame. But
massive, yeah.
Faletau, ooh.
He's next level, isn't he? Absolutely next level. The most classic of any position on the park, isn't he? Faletau. Yeah. He's just, and he brings everybody else up with him. When I saw him in that back row, and the other members of that back row, just like, and we've never struggled for back row, and now it's even better than it was last season. And like from 9 and 10, when you got Thomas Williams and Jared Evans as well, Jared Evans is always going to sort of play off the cuff a little bit. He's not as great as his kicks, so that's something you've got to work on. And sometimes they should I think shove him off a bit quicker and allow Reece Priestland to step up if he's missing a few, just because it's professional rugby and you've got to win games.
You've got to get the points, isn't it? Yeah.
But his field play is amazing. So from that back row, the front 5 I thought were really physical and stuff like that. We've always struggled. First of all, I thought we needed a big meaty number 3. Then we brought a couple of them in. And then I was just thinking, well, that's not working now. Well, so we need a second row. So now we've brought a big second row in as well, sort of thing.
I bumped into him the other day. I had a chat with him outside in Dunlop North here. He is huge.
Oh, yeah.
One of his legs like two of mine. He got his big gold tooth, right? He got his big scar with stitches down his head. But I was having a chat, and he said he's living in Cardiff, Lapati Tamani there, and he loves the area. And I said, you hoping to get back into the Australia? He said, well, look, that's the plan. Ready for the autumn to get into back into the Australia team. Like, I mean, the guy is huge. What a lovely guy, though. Humble, lovely big bloke.
Great.
But he's going to take some stopping on the pitch.
And that's exactly. And what we need sometimes, I say this down the South Terrace, isn't it? That sometimes I don't care if they're good around the park, my front five. I want my props to scrimmage, my hookers to hook and throw in the line out, my second rows to push and jump and what have you. Then we can hit racks and walls, and then we can start pass around in it. And I like the choices that they made to bring in like a Turnbull on to start, to have a pack that was really going to sort of run like possibly a bigger Munster pack around, and then bring on the bigger boys later on, sort of thing, just to galvanise everything up. I really like that.
Watching Thomas Young run down the wing, I thought it was the actual winger at first, and I realised, Christ almighty, he's got some some wheels on him. He was absolutely flying.
Looks like his dad as well, doesn't he?
Oh, he does, doesn't he? He does.
But he got through 15 tackles as well. He was the number one tackler on the pitch with 15 tackles. And I say he was turning up in the outside channel in attack as well. I just thought there were questions at the start of the season around, what's the point in having 20 bloody outstanding back row players? Do you know what I mean? You could have bought a couple in there, but it totally worked on Saturday. And I was impressed with Llewellyn. Inside centre.
Absolutely.
I think he's about the same size as his dad, isn't he?
Yeah, he's not far off. He's a big unit. Get it?
Skinny Bill Williams. I think that's what they were calling him at home, apparently. Skinny Bill Williams.
If he can have a run at games now, because last season, the season before, he was putting in some decent performances and just a big lump, a target for the forwards. A bit more than that. He's good at gliding with the ball. He hits, as he did on Saturday. It's really good angles. I thought, the one that led to Dacey's try was sublime, isn't it?
Absolutely.
But he kept getting injured again and again, isn't it? Stuff like that. So we have a running games now. Everybody's talking about Mason Grady, but I think he's the boy to watch.
I was going to say, him and Mason Grady, that's a centre partnership now for this weekend.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So that'll be good to see.
If he has a decent couple of games, I would not be at all surprised to see him called up. Because when you've got Tompkins at 12, I mean, Tompkins is a nice, sleek, decent player, and he's a gutsy player, and he can go around people, and he's fun. But sometimes you just need a battering ram. You need somebody that's going to take that ball, and every time he takes that ball, he's going to give you 10 meters. And Llewellyn is, you just get that feeling that he's that kind of player. He's straight, he's direct, and it doesn't matter if there's a second row in front of him, he's having it. When he's gonna take it.
But when sorry, I don't mean to cut you in, but when you talk about people being called up and getting the selection, so I was just reading today there that the time for experimenting with the squad's done now. That's it. This year, Pivac has to, get shifting now. It's the autumn Six Nations World Cup, and him and Nigel Walker on the same sheet there. That's it now. You've got your squad. Unless someone plays superbly to break into that team, good luck.
And that's what I think Llewellyn could do. That's what I think he really could. Another couple of performances like that, and I'd have him in the squad, definitely. I think he was that good on Saturday that, even I was watching Scarlett and Johnny Williams, two very similar players, and you'd go, well, either of those two would do that job. Do you know what I mean? But that was
Johnny Williams similar as Max Llewellyn.
Yeah, that's straight direct sort of a thing.
Like Tompkins is a very like pivot player, isn't he? Like that sort of we're going to just keep running till we run the side off the park, like, isn't it? What have you? And I think of it like one thing, less so lately, but like maybe a couple of seasons ago, one of my like gripes was that like Wales had no sort of plan B. Once the side worked out that we're just going to keep running at them and they could knock us down, it was all over. And having something to change things up like that in a game, I think would be brilliant. Like having it like a Tompkins to start sort of thing, like a real run-in 12, and then bring on some like a Johnny Williams or a Max Llewellyn later on, sort of thing would just sort of change that dynamic of the back line, wouldn't it? And,
absolutely, especially with George North on the outside, and
you wouldn't want to stand there defending against those, would you? George North, and you just,
no.
I got a bit of a cramp in my right leg. Yeah, no, I can't carry on. I'm off. Sorry. Yeah, we're somebody else can have a go at them. But, so, there's a couple of bits from Irish podcasts and what have you saying actually Munster were really poor, and from what I saw on that game, I thought Munster were poor, and I thought actually, I counted 3 tries at least that, there was one where a pass just didn't go to hand; it went to floor. There was one where Faletau tried to kind of flick it off the floor and it didn't work. And there was another where there was just a player in open space, and I can't remember who it was. It was a forward, but instead of just giving the pass, he just, that's 3, that's 15 points and a bonus. That's a bonus point. Actually, like you say, Carwyn, this is Munster. Taking a bonus point against Munster in your first game of the season, now that would have been top
absolutely
draw, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, it would have been great for Cardiff.
And so I thought Cardiff was superb on Saturday, and that takes a lot for me to say that, I'll be honest.
I think you've grown as a person there, Lee.
No, I think I've had a couple of beers is what I think that
it must be.
So,
no, if you'd have told me we were going to beat Munster the first game of the season, I'd have, however we did it, I would have taken it. Like, I mean, so it was like, I was really excited, and like at the end of last season, I had a season ticket with my girls last season. They've decided against it this season, which broke my heart. But I questioned. I said at the end of last season, I'm not getting one next season. I can't come and watch this. Do you mean like with the results we were getting, the way we crumbled, much like the Dragons did against Edinburgh in some of the last games of last season. But as it comes closer to through the summer, and we signed, Faletau, and we signed Liam Williams, going, yep, we're going to win it again.
I'd say the foundations are there for Cardiff. They are,
I don't know what it is going to take, like, isn't it? But sometimes it feels it's so close to something special.
Well, no, absolutely.
Munster are a team in transition. That was last week. This week, Glasgow feels like Glasgow are a team in freefall. Their coach is already blaming Danny Wilson. you gave me a bag. Yeah.
Well, and so that's already a bonus for Cardiff playing Glasgow next.
Well, exactly.
They're in that position.
That's two games against sides who probably last season or season before would have either given Cardiff a really good going over, or probably would have turned them. And I can't see Glasgow coming anywhere near Cardiff this weekend, I'll be honest. Well, it's Friday, isn't it?
And
Friday
also, tomorrow. So, but with that, that's going to, if Cardiff do win, that's going to breed confidence, and going into the next games, happy days,
That's something Cardiff haven't been able to crack for a while, is away wins.
Absolutely. Whereas like the Ospreys, we've got the Lions next. We're already into South African territory. It's I think it might be tough. I don't know. We've got the good squad, but we're going to be missing Anscombe and Cuthbert already, and Parry and Gareth Thomas, just because of the knocks they picked up on the weekend. Oh, I don't know. Cuthbert's been out a little while, but Lydiat's going to be back for that match, which would be nice.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah.
Did you even read the running order, Carwyn? You know the bit where you go like, here's Cardiff. We'll talk about Cardiff and Glasgow. No, I want to talk about the Ospreys is what I want to do.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how we got onto that, sorry. It was,
it's like Tourette's.
Yeah. So are we all saying Cardiff to win on Saturday, on Friday?
I'm gonna say it right now.
Go on, go for it.
Yeah. Cardiff by 7.
Oh.
That's adventurous, that is, mate.
I'll go Cardiff by. I'm gonna go for 10 again.
Yeah, I'm gonna say they're gonna get a bonus point. I'm gonna 20 odd, 25, maybe 30. I just think the confidence in them from last Saturday, bringing it through. Glasgow all over the place. Coach slagging them off. Press had given them absolute nightmare. It's. Everything for me said if Cardiff don't win with a bonus point, then there's something wrong on tomorrow, and not in like panic stations, but they really should be coming away from it. They should be looking at that game and going, right, we're putting them to the sword, no messing. Half time, I want a bonus point on the board by half time. That's the attitude they need to go with. So now you get to talk about
moving on.
moving on to Ospreys, right? So Ospreys scraped the draw with a lucky bloody last minute kick that should never have been given. So what do you think of the game on Saturday then, Karen?
Unfortunately, I only seen the highlights. I would love to have seen the whole game and sat next to you for it just to see the look on your face when we did score in the last three minutes.
I was shouting at top knot Tim, mate. I was shouting at the guy with the top knot. I was.
That young Jack Walsh there, debut for the Ospreys from the right corner, bang, happy days, draw secured. And to be honest, I did think we would have stuffed you, hands up. But it doesn't matter how many star names you got on a team sheet. First game of the season, don't play well enough, you're not going to get that win. And from what I can tell, they clearly didn't play well enough. But going forward, draw against Scarlets at Parky Scarlets, first game of the season. I don't want to take it, but I will.
Well, you've got no choice, and neither have we, really.
No.
It was, from a Scarlets point of view, it was, after the first 10 minutes, it felt a bit kind of crap, because we just weren't in the game. Those first 10 minutes, we were just not in the game. And I'll be fair to listen to this now, right? Anscombe played well. Okay, that's your one for the season.
Don't worry, it's on record.
That's a compliment for an Ospreys player. I genuinely thought Anscombe played well, and what he did was he picked out Foxy, and he just ran at Foxy every opportunity he had because he knows he's got him with pace.
Yeah, well, from the highlights reel, I thought all your foreign imports played well. I mean, how many Welsh qualified players were in the pack?
I don't give a shit.
Not many, were there?
I could not give a flying fuck. It was.
I think all of the Ospreys team were Welsh qualified. I think 13 of them were capped by Wales.
And you still couldn't win. So,
well, that's what they haven't played together for a while, But look, Wales can't win at the moment either. We lost to Italy, so.
Well, on a slightly different tangent from a Scarlets point of view, Saturday, Carmarthen Quins are playing Swansea. And Swansea, you remember them?
No, I meant Carmarthen. Who? Yeah, go on.
Ken Owens is in at hooker.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's his first game back. So just testing the back out and what have you. So, yeah, Ken Owens is back playing rugby from this weekend.
There was an article the other day about him possibly playing for the Barbars against New Zealand.
Yeah, I saw that. I'd be a bit pissed off if he plays for the Barbars before he plays for Scarlets.
Yeah, and gets injured.
Well, yeah.
He's 35 now, isn't he?
He is, yeah.
He's getting on as a hooker, like,
yeah.
He was in the gym with my boy a couple of weeks ago, and they were talking, and he's like, "How old are you then?" My boy was born in 2004. No, that was it. So Ken said, somebody asked him how long had he been in the club, and he said, "Oh, I signed my first contract in 2004." And my boy went, "That's the year I was born." And Ken kind of turned at him. I just gave him this look. It was like, "Shut up, son. Yeah, you're making me feel old." But that's how long he's been there, 2004.
But like you said to me earlier about the likes of Webb and Jonathan Davis, they're trying to hold on to him. He's 35. He's now getting these injuries. We've got players like Dowie Lake, Ryan Elias, coming through. I don't think it's worth.
Elias has come on leaps and bounds, isn't he?
Absolutely.
Like, in the past few seasons, he was. I thought he was a dead loss. Like, not a dead loss, but about 4 seasons ago, couldn't not hit the side of a bus, what have you.
Yeah.
And now he's worked on that side of his game, isn't he? And then the rest of his game's improved year on year anyway, and he just turned into and it's great having them both, isn't it? Dowie Lake and Elias.
I think Elias is quite a reliable guy to have in the team at the moment. I think he's one of the leaders for Wales. We're going down that route there. I think that's all looking promising.
Well, the big talking point from that Scarlets game was the Tipperick. So somebody that you can rely on, and this, that, and the other. And when we're talking about reputations, Tipperick's elbow to the head on the halftime whistle. Anybody else does that, and they're off. I was.
Did you get yellow card?
Are you calling the All Black clause?
Yeah. So, Top Knot Tim, who was sitting just down in front. He had a pretty normal looking guy sat with him. Who I'm going to assume he was an Ospreys. He sounded like a pretty normal guy, so I'm not sure if he was an Ospreys fan. But Top Knot Tim was going. He didn't touch him. He didn't play acting, this, that, and the other. That's in the stadium at the time. And the other guy, and I was going nuts. This is why the wife doesn't come to the games with me anymore. She's quite happy. So you go and shout, and I'll come and stay at home. So I was, you could see it on the replay that there's contact with the head goes back. And what you don't see on the TV cameras is when he was sat on the floor, he goes to get back up, and he can't. He's sparked. He's completely out on that pitch, and you can see, there's been head contact, and he's had a real nasty one. And what they said on Scrum 5 was, if anybody else had done that, that's a yellow card. Top Knot.
But was it intentional?
I'll give a rat's ass, mate.
Of course it wasn't. Tipperick's not intentional. I mean, Tipperick, if it was intentional, the only way I could think it would be intentional was the fact that Tipperick thought it was him who neck rolled him from the ruck earlier on, but that was Costello who got yellow carded.
But what are the rules now? Isn't it just like contact with the head, or?
Well, they got to go down the ladder. But what the referee said was it started on the chest and went up to the head,
that's right.
You can see his arm hits the chest. It's not.
So what he did was like, when he pokes him in the chest, they look down and tap him in the nose. That's all he did. And then being a Scarlets player, he dramatically fell to the floor, and the concussion was from hitting his head on the floor.
Well, this is the problem with Osprey supporters, because the arm is on the chest, but you can't quite see whether it's his shoulder or his head makes contact with McNichol's head. So for me, I actually agree with you that it wasn't intentional, and for me that was a yellow. For the Top Knot Tim's mate, he said that's probably a red, possibly a yellow. If he's lucky, he'll get away with a yellow. So that's how that's how sensitive that was on Saturday. Yeah. Everybody in that stadium that saw it, with the exception of the referee and the TMO and Top Knot Tim, thought he was gone one way or the other. But this is the other bit, right, that is probably more important. Giles' yellow card. Giles knocks that ball down, and there is an acre of space behind him. There is nobody. So behind him, you had Corey Baldwin and Tom Rogers, two of the fastest players on the park, and 60 metres with nobody. The only player that could have caught them was Giles, and he's on the floor because he's just knocked the ball on. Yeah, so yellow card, but there's 60 metres of space between there and the line, and nobody to touch him. Yeah, so if that ball goes over the top of Giles, that's a try, guaranteed. Yeah, there is nobody in there. So for me, I thought that should have been a penalty try.
You can't give a penalty try from that far up, though. You know,
there's nothing in the rules that says
they might have tripped over. They might have stood in touch, but Giles would have probably caught them. You know,
no,
and no, George North would have been hoofing it across from the middle of the ground anyway. He would have smashed them.
George North was doing his hair in the middle of the pitch, mate. He had a little mirror out, and he had the hairbrush, and he was making sure that Gorgeous George was looking lovely. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. So let's move on. Ospreys against the Lions on Saturday.
Well, it's the Lions' first game, isn't it? I have no idea who they're picking in their squad yet. It's going to be. We lost them last season in the Liberty because they're that guy who was taking like drop goals from inside his own half. You know, unbelievable drop goals. But I think in the season, their first game, our second at the Liberty, hopefully a good crowd behind us. I think we'll edge it by about 4 points.
Yeah, I'm just going Ospreys to win because you're at home and I haven't got a clue what the Lions are playing like. So
and that's recorded as well.
Yeah, well,
we could just do like a snippet back, like no context, isn't it? Like Ospreys to win, and
I don't know what's in
version of the podcast on.
We'll just edit it.
All it says is like a few lines. Lee saying Ospreys to win, yeah. Anscombe's a great player. Ospreys to win.
I don't know what's in this beer I'm drinking, boys, but it's making me lightheaded. It's making me say bizarre things. You know what I mean? But no, I genuinely do. I think I hope they win. Yeah.
I hope so.
And for me,
go on.
No, I was going to move on to the important game of the weekend, but go on.
Yeah, and I was going to say, it's up in the Kingspan, isn't it?
No, it's
is it not?
Parker Scarlets again.
Oh, you might have half a chance then.
Well, I think this is the fixture of the round. I'll be honest, simply because Ulster are probably the number one Irish side this year. I think. The way Leinster are playing at the minute, Leinster have lost Stuart Lancaster for the end of the season.
I saw that he's off. Where's he going?
He's off to Racing 92.
I saw he's going to France.
Yeah. That's unsettling. That's going to have an effect on them. So it really leaves Ulster as the main Irish side this year. And then, given the way Scarlets played last year, we felt we should have won that, and that grates at you when you know you should have won that game, and you were at home. It was a big opportunity. It was against Ospreys, so we should have won that game. So they're almost in that same boat of going, do you know what, we have to win this one. We have to make sure that there's something comes out of this game. But Ulster were just outstanding last Saturday. They were.
They're a cracking team, mate. I've been up to the Kingspan a few times to watch them. I mean, they get that crowd. They have a full house every home game, more or less, and they are behind that team 100%. And that team plays for their supporters. My God, they're a good team.
Yeah.
And once they're on that roll, once they're on a roll, they're unstoppable. But I do like it's a game you want to win in Parker Scarlets. Because if you lose, you're looking at possibly a few weeks ahead up until the autumns.
Well, we have got Cardiff in a couple of weeks, so that's a guaranteed bonus point. As a
podcast.
I'll let you respond to that, Reece.
I welcome you.
I'll be back now.
So
no, absolutely, man. That's the thing about earlier on when we were talking about we've signed Liam Williams and we've signed Faletau, and we signed the Australian lock, whose name escapes me just for a moment. But they're going to be gone for the autumn, for these large, and that's what the Irish sides are really good at, isn't it? Is these big, sort of well-developed, well-drilled squads that can just step into those positions, which we just don't have. And we feel like real triers, players that'll go out there and give 110% and stuff like that, but are just not up to scratch to be able to deal with the firepower of South Africans or the Irish and stuff like that, and well, the Scots now, but well, hopefully not Glasgow now.
Well, look, Leinster have got a squad of 55. You know, you compare it to the Welsh regions, Jesus. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, so I know.
What are we saying for this weekend then? So Scarlets Ulster. I'm going to go a Scarlets narrow win by 2 points, and I don't care as long as I don't. It could be the flukiest drop goal from halfway with a massive win behind us on the 85th minute. I don't care as long as it's a win on Saturday. I don't care. You boys' predictions?
I think you've got to have your A game to beat them, like, isn't it? You've got to bring everything and do it all right through the game. So I am going to say maybe Ulster by 5. Sorry, lads.
I got to be honest. I've got to agree with Reece there. I think Ulster are going to be too much for the Scarlets. Regardless, they are just a class team. They are not building. They have the team there right now to do the job, and I think Ulster will they'll win by about 8 points at least.
What a pair of bastards! Even after I said Ospreys will win, I said,
"No matter about honesty, just bastards."
Yeah. Right. Okay. Fair enough. There we go. Right. So before we wrap up for this evening, something I wanted to
see what you did there.
Yeah, no, I did genuinely plan that. I got that as part of that's wrapped up and all of that kind of bollocks. It was, I need to stop drinking this stuff tonight. It makes you say stupid things.
Yeah.
So on Twitter, there's a guy. I think he's a Cardiff supporter, and he's called Liam Warrender. Yeah. So I'll tweet this out after I send this. After I publish the podcast, and so he's got a flag, Welsh flag. And his ambition for this season is to get it signed by every Cardiff player and every Cardiff player, because
every Cardiff player, yeah. Nice one.
Because they have to call two sides the same name just to try and confuse us.
Okay.
So I thought we'd track him. Yeah, we're going to just follow how he gets on through the season. But then I thought, well, okay, if we've got one for Cardiff, then we need to have one from every region, don't we? So on Twitter, I'm going to put this out when this goes out, and we'll follow everyone that does the flag challenge. And so we'll have somebody from Scarlets, somebody from Ospreys, somebody from Dragons, if Dragon supporters ever actually exist. And we'll just follow them through the season about how many signatures you've got, who you've got, and things like that. Just because I quite like the idea of it more than anything, So, so we will put that out as well. And so we've got just over a minute left, guys. Okay, so I'm going to have a rant about the Premiership and about Twitter, but we'll probably talk about this next week in a lot more detail. Okay, so it's shit what's happening at Worcester and what's happening at Wasps. For all the people that are involved, it's absolute shit. But the URC is actually doing really well, and the URC clubs are actually doing quite well. Thank you very much. Shouting at people and acting like you're solving the Middle East crisis on Twitter because the URC hasn't got some great photos on the website is a bag of shit. And I'm going to leave it there, and we'll talk about it next week, but we'll talk about it in more detail next week.
Nice one.
Absolutely. Nice one, guys.
Right, gents, thank you very much for your time.
Cheers, boys. Cheers, Reece. Cheers, Lee.
We'll catch up again next week, yeah?
Yeah, nice one, lads.
Absolutely.
Ta-da.
Ta-da.
Cheers, guys. Ta-da. Well, that's a wrap. Did you see what we did there? Did you see? It was good, wasn't it? So we hope you enjoyed listening to the show today. If you'd like to get involved with the show, you can message us by going to anchor.fm/wrap, the WRRAP. Hit the message button and you can record a short voice message for us to play on the show. Or you can follow us on Twitter with Wrap Podcast, WRRA Podcast. See what we did there? don't just put this stuff together, you know. Or you can email us on a welshregionalrugbypod@gmail.com. So don't forget, this is the show for you, the fans. The more of you that get involved, the better the show is. Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed it.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.